For many seniors, the quiet stillness of nighttime that once promised restful sleep has now turned into hours of discomfort, tossing and turning, and waking up with a dull ache or even sharp pain radiating through the hips. What used to be a simple part of the day, slipping under the covers and drifting into dreams, has for countless older adults become a frustrating nightly ordeal. But why do hips start to hurt more at night after a certain age? This isn't just about aging or having a soft mattress. There's a complex interplay of biological, mechanical, and lifestyle factors that converge to create this nocturnal pain. As we age, the body undergoes a series of subtle changes that may not be noticeable in our daily routines, but can have significant impacts once we're horizontal. The cartilage that cushions our hip joints begins to wear down, and while you might not feel the degradation in your 40s or 50s, it often becomes unmistakably apparent in your 60s and beyond. Even the muscles around the hips, especially the glutes, hip flexors, and piriformis, can tighten or weaken with disuse, leading to imbalances that pull your hips out of alignment when lying still. Blood flow also decreases with age, and when you're at rest, circulation slows even more, sometimes failing to bring the necessary oxygen and nutrients to areas already prone to inflammation. Add to that the fact that many seniors take medications that affect hydration levels or muscle tone, and you have a recipe for nightly discomfort. Yet another overlooked factor is the body's circadian rhythm, which doesn't just regulate sleep, but also pain perception. Some studies have shown that inflammation-related pain, such as that caused by arthritis or bursitis in the hips, actually intensifies at night due to hormonal fluctuations and reduced cortisol levels. When cortisol, your body's natural anti-inflammatory hormone, is at its lowest, the pain can seem disproportionately worse than it does during the day, even if the actual level of joint degradation remains the same. And then there's sleep posture, a seemingly simple issue that becomes crucial for older adults. Side sleeping, which many people naturally gravitate toward, places uneven pressure on the hips, especially if the mattress doesn't provide adequate support. Seniors often continue using the same mattress they've had for years, unaware that its materials have degraded and no longer offer the spinal alignment and cushioning they once did. And if your hips are already inflamed or misaligned, sleeping on your side without a pillow between your knees or with improper leg positioning can exacerbate the problem further. The surface you sleep on, your body's alignment, and even your pillow height can all contribute to how your hips feel in the middle of the night. But the puzzle goes deeper than mechanics. It touches the very core of how seniors go about their days. Reduced physical activity during the day can lead to stiffening of the joints by nightfall, making it harder for the body to relax and to sleep. A sedentary lifestyle, particularly one where someone spends long hours sitting in the same position, causes hip flexors to shorten and the glute muscles to weaken, throwing the entire pelvic area into muscular imbalance. Over time, these imbalances force the hips to compensate in awkward ways, and it's during nighttime rest, when the body is finally still, that this imbalance becomes most painfully apparent. What's worse, once hip pain begins to interfere with sleep, it creates a vicious cycle. Poor sleep affects healing, increases sensitivity to pain, and contributes to fatigue, which then further reduces the likelihood of engaging in physical activity the next day. It's a downward spiral that far too many seniors are caught in. Pain leads to poor sleep leads to inactivity leads to stiffness and more pain. It's exhausting not just physically, but emotionally as well. Sleep is supposed to be restorative, and when it becomes a nightly battleground, it chips away at mental resilience and overall quality of life. But the truth is, hip pain at night isn't an inevitable part of aging. It's a signal. A signal that something in your routine, your posture, your diet, or your physical conditioning needs attention. It's a message your body is sending, begging for intervention, not just medication. Many seniors are surprised to learn that the solution is often less about what happens at bedtime and more about what you do in the hours leading up to it. Small changes throughout the day, strategic movements, targeted stretches, and circulation-enhancing habits can have profound impacts by the time your head hits the pillow. And perhaps the most promising news is that there's a simple, low-effort routine that takes only minutes each evening and can offer noticeable relief from nighttime hip pain. But to understand how to implement that routine effectively and why it works, we need to explore the deeper connection between movement, muscle memory, and how the body resets itself during sleep. Most people don't realize that the hips are not isolated entities. They're part of a kinetic chain that includes the spine, knees, and even feet. When one link in that chain is compromised, the stress redistributes in ways that the body tries to quietly accommodate during the day, but can no longer hide at night. That's why even the healthiest diet or the most expensive mattress won't fix the problem unless the underlying muscular and joint imbalances are addressed directly. In the next segment, we'll dive deeper into how those imbalances form, how to identify if you're suffering from them, and exactly which movements you should start doing today to break the cycle of pain and start sleeping deeply again, without pills, surgery, or costly interventions. When we think about hip pain, especially the kind that wakes seniors up at night or keeps them from falling asleep, most people imagine that the problem lies solely in the hip joint itself. But this is only a small piece of the puzzle. The human body is a complex and interconnected system where tightness, weakness, and instability in one area directly influence discomfort in another. And nowhere is this truer than with the hips. Pain often shows up in the hip at night because it's one of the few times during the day that the body is truly still, and during that stillness, imbalances, inflammation, and pressure are magnified. To understand this, we need to look at what's going on with the muscles surrounding the hip, particularly the hip flexors, glutes, piriformis, and iliotibial band, and how modern sedentary habits contribute to nighttime pain. Seniors often spend more time sitting, whether reading, watching TV, or just relaxing, and prolonged sitting shortens the hip flexors, those muscles that run from the pelvis to the thigh, and weakens the gluteal muscles, which are meant to support and stabilize the pelvis. When the hip flexors tighten and the glutes weaken, the pelvis tilts forward unnaturally, creating strain not just in the hips, but in the lower back, knees, and hamstrings. This imbalance causes the surrounding soft tissues to become inflamed, and when you finally lie down at night, the affected structures are unable to relax fully. Worse still, some people unconsciously clench or contract their muscles when trying to fall asleep, particularly if they're in pain or stressed, which only makes the inflammation worse. Add to that the hormonal changes that occur during the night, specifically the body's natural drop in anti-inflammatory hormones like cortisol, and what you're left with is a perfect storm of tight, imbalanced, and inflamed tissue that results in hip pain that feels sharper and more debilitating the longer you remain in bed. But it isn't just about tightness or sitting too long. One of the most overlooked culprits behind night hip pain is a little muscle called the piriformis, which lies deep in the buttock and plays a key role in stabilizing the hip joint and rotating the thigh. When this muscle becomes tight or inflamed, a condition known as piriformis syndrome, it can compress the sciatic nerve and cause pain that radiates through the hip, buttocks, and even down the leg. Many seniors mistake this for arthritis or assume it's just part of getting older, when in fact it's often entirely preventable and reversible with the right daily habits. Another frequently ignored issue is hip bursitis, an inflammation of the fluid-filled sacs that cushion the bones, tendons, and muscles near the joints. When these bursae become irritated, often from repeated pressure on one side, like always sleeping on the same hip, they swell and cause intense nighttime pain. This is particularly problematic for side sleepers who don't use adequate cushioning between their knees or who sleep on overly firm mattresses. The irony is that what seems like a comfortable sleeping position might actually be silently aggravating the hips night after night. And then there's spinal alignment, another factor that plays a critical role. Seniors with lumbar spinal stenosis, herniated discs, or even mild scoliosis may not notice symptoms during the day. But when they lie down, the spinal compression shifts, causing pressure to transfer to the hips. Without a properly supportive sleep surface that keeps the spine and hips in a neutral position, gravity pulls the body out of alignment, exacerbating inflammation and discomfort. So what's the solution? You can't turn back the clock or instantly fix years of muscular imbalance. But you can begin making targeted adjustments today that will dramatically reduce pain within days and help you sleep better within weeks. It starts with one key principle: pre-sleep movement. Gentle, targeted stretches and mobility exercises that take just a few minutes before bed can unlock the tightness, rebalance the surrounding muscles, and stimulate blood flow to promote healing during the night. One of the most effective strategies is to perform a short routine of hip openers and glute activations before bedtime. For example, a figure 4 stretch helps open the piriformis and relieve sciatic nerve pressure, while seated or standing hip circles help mobilize the joint. Gentle glute bridges performed on your bed can wake up dormant glute muscles and prepare them to support your hips during sleep. Even a few minutes of diaphragmatic breathing, belly breathing while lying flat, can help relax the pelvic floor and signal your nervous system to calm down, further reducing muscular tension. Seniors who commit to these short routines consistently report a reduction in nighttime hip pain, improved sleep quality, and greater ease in walking and movement throughout the day. But movement is only one half of the equation. The environment you sleep in matters just as much. A mattress that is too soft allows the hips to sag, throwing the spine and pelvis out of alignment, while one that is too firm can press directly against inflamed bursae or tight muscles, worsening the pain. The ideal sleep surface for seniors with hip pain is one that supports the spine's natural curvature while cushioning pressure points at the hips and shoulders. Similarly, using a pillow between the knees when sleeping on your side, or under the knees if sleeping on your back, helps keep the hips in a neutral, relaxed position. Temperature also plays a surprising role, as cold muscles are more likely to spasm or become rigid, so keeping warm at night can be a simple but powerful way to reduce pain. What many don't realize is that hydration and magnesium levels also impact muscle tightness. Seniors are often dehydrated or low in magnesium due to medications or diet, which contributes to nighttime cramping and stiffness. So alongside movement and proper sleep posture, drinking a glass of water with magnesium glycinate in the evening can ease muscle tension and prepare your hips for restful sleep. The goal isn't to overhaul your entire life overnight. It's to make small, strategic changes that, over time, restore balance to your hips, reduce inflammation, and allow your body to fully relax when you need it most. And in the next part, we'll walk through the exact stretch sequence that thousands of seniors have used to completely transform their sleep and finally say goodbye to hip pain without ever setting foot in a doctor's office. Now that we understand the root causes of nighttime hip pain and how simple lifestyle and posture-related factors can make it worse, it's time to explore the specific stretch sequence that has been quietly recommended by physical therapists and geriatric specialists for years, but rarely reaches the seniors who need it most. This easy, low-impact, nightly routine doesn't require any special equipment, can be performed directly on your bed or a carpeted surface, and takes just 3 to 5 minutes. But its impact on nighttime pain is often immediate and powerful. The first move in the sequence is called the supine figure 4 stretch. To begin, lie on your back with your knees bent and feet flat. Cross your right ankle over your left thigh, just above the knee, so your legs form the number 4. Then gently pull your left thigh toward your chest, using your hands or a strap if needed. You should feel a deep stretch in your right outer hip and glute. Hold for 30 seconds while breathing slowly, then switch sides. This stretch directly targets the piriformis muscle, which, as we discussed earlier, is a major source of hip pain when inflamed or tight. Next is the hip windshield wiper stretch. which helps loosen the deep rotator muscles of the hip and gently massage the joint. Lie on your back again with knees bent and feet flat on the floor. Then slowly drop both knees to the right, return to center, and drop to the left like windshield wipers. Repeat for 1 to 2 minutes. This movement restores internal and external rotation mobility to the hips, two of the most commonly lost ranges of motion with aging. Third in the sequence is the glute bridge. Not just a stretch, but a critical activation exercise that helps wake up and strengthen the gluteus maximus, which often becomes dormant in seniors who sit for long hours. Still lying on your back, place your feet hip-width apart and close to your body. Then gently lift your hips toward the ceiling while squeezing your glutes. Pause at the top for 2 seconds, then slowly lower. Perform 10 to 15 reps, focusing on form rather than speed. Engaging the glutes properly reduces strain on the lower back and hips during sleep and helps stabilize the pelvis, relieving the burden placed on surrounding ligaments and tendons. The next stretch, called the psoas release with breath, is as gentle as it is powerful. The psoas muscle, which connects your spine to your thigh bone, often becomes tight from years of sitting and can silently pull the spine and pelvis out of alignment, contributing to both back and hip pain. To release it, lie flat with a pillow under your knees and both hands resting on your belly. Close your eyes and take slow, deep breaths into your abdomen for 2 minutes. On each exhale, imagine letting go of tension in your hips and lower back. This simple, breathing, focused movement works on a neurological level, signaling your body to relax and release the chronically contracted psoas. Following this, we move to the seated forward fold with ankle crossover, a gentle stretch that targets the hamstrings and hip capsule. Sit on the edge of your bed or a firm chair, extend one leg out straight, and cross the other ankle over the thigh. Slowly hinge forward at the hips with a straight back and reach toward your toes. Hold for 30 seconds, then switch legs. This stretch restores flexibility to the posterior chain, improving hip movement and relieving nighttime tension. The final stretch is perhaps the most comforting, the child's pose with side reach. Kneel on a soft surface, sit your hips back toward your heels, and stretch your arms out in front. Then gently walk your hands to the right to stretch the left hip and lower back, and then to the left to stretch the right side. Hold each side for 30 seconds. This restorative pose calms the nervous system, opens the hips, and reduces muscle guarding, which often occurs when your body braces in response to chronic pain. What makes this sequence so effective isn't just the movements themselves, it's the consistency. When performed nightly, even just 3 to 5 days per week, these stretches begin to re-educate the hip muscles and fascia, gradually reducing inflammation, restoring mobility, and retraining your body to sleep without pain. In fact, thousands of seniors who were once dependent on nighttime pain medications or sleep aids have found lasting relief simply by doing this short series before bed. These aren't intense yoga poses or complicated gym exercises. They're functional, safe, and specifically designed for aging bodies that may be stiff, sore, or lacking flexibility. And here's the unexpected bonus. These movements don't just help you sleep. They improve your ability to walk, stand, and even climb stairs during the day. Seniors who begin a nighttime stretch habit often report fewer falls, increased confidence in their balance, and better posture within just a few weeks. That's because when your hips move freely and your glutes are activated, your entire gait changes. You stop compensating with your knees or back, and the strain that once traveled up the spine and down the legs is neutralized at its source, the pelvis. There's also a deeper benefit. The ritual of stretching before bed not only eases the body, it eases the mind. It becomes a moment of quiet, a way to disconnect from the anxieties of the day and prepare for deep, restful sleep. As your pain diminishes and your body feels more at ease, this simple nighttime routine becomes something you look forward to, not a chore, but a gift to yourself. And for many seniors, that shift in mindset, choosing self-care over suffering, marks the beginning of true healing. In the final part of this video, we'll cover the 3 sleeping position modifications that orthopedic experts recommend for seniors to prevent hip pain entirely, along with how your mattress, pillow, and sleep posture may be silently sabotaging your healing every single night. Now that we've covered the exact stretch routine that can dramatically reduce or even eliminate hip pain for seniors at night, it's time to address the hidden factor that often undoes all your hard work: the way you sleep. Yes, your sleep position, mattress quality, and pillow choice can silently intensify your hip discomfort even if you're doing everything else right. It's something most people never consider, but chiropractors and orthopedic doctors agree. Your body doesn't turn off during sleep. It rests, repairs, and recalibrates. But if your alignment is off for hours every night, your muscles, joints, and ligaments stay in a state of stress, not recovery. Let's start with the number 1 sleeping position that's linked to hip pain in older adults: sleeping on your side with your top leg crossed over your body, twisting your spine. This common pose puts direct pressure on the hip joint, stretches the lower back, and can torque the pelvis in a way that keeps muscles like the piriformis and tensor fasciae lati inflamed for hours. If you wake up with tight hips or numbness in your leg, this might be the culprit. The simple fix? Place a firm pillow between your knees when lying on your side. This keeps your hips stacked in proper alignment, supports the pelvis, and reduces unnecessary twisting. If you prefer sleeping on your back, that's actually one of the best positions for hip and spine health, but only if your legs are slightly elevated. Placing a pillow or rolled towel under your knees reduces tension in your hip flexors and allows your lower back to flatten naturally into the mattress, relieving pressure across your lumbar spine and pelvis. This positioning is especially beneficial for seniors who deal with both hip pain and lower back issues, which often go hand in hand. But what about stomach sleeping? Experts say it's the worst position for hip and back health because it places your spine in hyperextension and forces your head and pelvis to rotate unnaturally. If you absolutely must sleep on your stomach, place a thin pillow under your lower abdomen and avoid turning your neck to one side all night. This minimizes some of the damaging curvature. But ideally, gradually train yourself to sleep on your side with support or on your back with your legs elevated. Next, consider the mattress itself. Many seniors sleep on beds that are over a decade old, sagging in the middle or too firm to contour to their aging joints. A mattress that's too hard can increase pressure points on the hips, while a mattress that's too soft allows your pelvis to sink unevenly, pulling the spine out of alignment. What you need is a medium firm mattress with supportive foam layers that cradle your hips without collapsing under your weight. Even adding a high-density foam topper can make a significant difference if replacing your mattress isn't an option right now. And don't overlook your pillow. It should keep your neck in line with your spine, not tilting up or down, which can affect your entire posture and muscle tension while sleeping. You see, it's not just about how your hips feel when you're lying down, it's about how your entire kinetic chain, the alignment from your neck down to your feet, responds over 8 hours of rest. Small misalignments lead to big consequences when repeated nightly. Another often ignored factor is how temperature and inflammation interact overnight. If your room is too cold or your body is exposed to a draft, your muscles naturally tense up, creating stiffness by morning. On the flip side, applying a warm compress or using a heating pad for 10 minutes before bed can increase circulation and reduce stiffness in the hip area. Some seniors find using a weighted blanket helps their muscles relax deeper and reduces tossing and turning, which further helps protect the hips from jarring positions. Now, let's take it a step further beyond the physical. Studies show that chronic stress and poor sleep quality are strongly linked to inflammatory pain, especially in the joints and hips. Seniors dealing with loneliness, anxiety, or even underlying sleep disorders like sleep apnea may experience more frequent nighttime pain because their bodies are in a constant state of low-level fight or flight. That's why a nightly wind-down ritual, stretching, Deep breathing, gentle massage, warm tea can calm the nervous system and reduce inflammatory signals. Your goal isn't just to reduce pain, it's to send your body the message that it's safe, supported, and allowed to heal. When your mind calms, your muscles follow. And let's not forget hydration. Many seniors reduce their water intake at night to avoid bathroom trips, but dehydration leads to stiff joints and muscle cramps. Just a few sips of electrolyte-rich water before bed, especially magnesium-infused or coconut water, can help your muscles relax and reduce nighttime flare-ups. As you can see, resolving nighttime hip pain isn't about one magic stretch or expensive treatment. It's a series of simple, evidence-based actions done consistently. From adjusting your sleep posture and mattress to performing a 5-minute stretch routine and creating a relaxing bedtime environment, each small change builds upon the last. The good news? You don't need surgery, pills, or endless appointments. You need understanding, consistency, and just a few minutes of commitment each evening. Seniors who apply even half of these strategies often report waking up pain-free for the first time in years. They sleep deeper, walk better, and feel more confident in their bodies. And for many, that sense of control over their health is more empowering than any prescription. So tonight, instead of dreading the discomfort, try just one of these tips, because your best night's sleep might just be a few thoughtful adjustments away.